Welcome to Switch Comics. My name is Marco, and we are back with another episode of Cover Junkies, the series where I take a look at some of my favorite comic covers. Now, a lot of people are always looking at what keys are important, this and that or whatever, but it's also worth noting the art of these comics a lot of times can add great value either monetarily or just for your personal reasons. Sometimes you just like to look at good art or have good art hung up on your wall. So today I'm going to be taking it 5 comics for the character of Jane Foster Thor. So starting off, we have the brand new book. Actually, I'm cheating a little bit because, it's not out yet, but it comes out next week. So Wednesday, we're going to have Jane Foster, the Mighty Thor, #1, and this is the Momoko variant. I'm a big fan of Momoko. My last Cover Junkies episode was on Momoko. And I was looking up, I was trying to make this list, and then I started dabbling down in Momoko covers. But this, I think, is one of her just absolutely best pieces she's put out. It is a stunning, gorgeous piece. I really love when Momoko does a lot of white or black in the background. I feel like those are usually like a good sign of success for her pieces. But it's very simplistic in a way, but also has a lot of just beautiful detail in her hair, and her helmet is gorgeous. And I really love the soft colors in this, again complemented by that white background. I think it's just an absolutely gorgeous piece. I cannot wait to get your own. It's only going to be $4, or depending on your discount that you may get for your pull list or whatever, a little bit cheaper than that. So, pick up the book. If you're a Momoko fan, if you're a Jane Foster fan, coming out next week, definitely grab this one. Moving on to the next book I got on the list, and today I went from cheapest to most expensive. We're going to get into some big ones here. So we have The Mighty Thor 705. This is a bit of a little key. This is the death of Jane Foster, which is pretty neat. And we have, there's 2 different versions of this one. So the main version is only a $10 book. There's one that's a little bit more expensive if you want the Virgin variant. But we have the Art Germ variant, which I'm a huge fan of Art Germ as well. Man, what just a gorgeous face. I really like, this is kind of a play on, I want to say it was Thor #8 or something. It's the issue. It's a big black background, and she's taking off her helmet, and I believe that is before, that might be the issue that we learn it is Jane Foster, or it's either that or the issue that we learn that she has cancer. I cannot remember, but I know she's taking off that helmet, and that's a gorgeous cover too. Nearly made it on the list, but I thought these two were fairly similar, at least in kind of in composition. This is a bit from lower angle, and then the other one's mid or high, kind of high-ish angle, not super high. But I'm just such a big fan of Art Germ. I just had to include one of his pieces on here, and it is gorgeous. And moving on to the next one, we have The Mighty Thor 15. This is the 1 in 10 variant by Diodato. Now this is going to run you about $40. And I just love this. Like, compositionally, you just have her right there in the forefront. I think the title has the trade dress has a really nice placement. Sometimes a trade dress can kind of muddy up an issue. That's why so many people like Virgin variants. But I think this one was presented very well. Just covering up her knees, not a big deal. Not the most exciting part of the cover. I think the lightning just shooting out all around her, especially with that big thunder strike, coming down on the left side of the book there, I think it just makes a fantastic cover. Also presenting kind of a fun light source where you have a little bit of light coming from everywhere, but you have that big lightning, like I said, on the left side, and that's where you really get most of her shine. And it's just an absolutely gorgeous cover. One I definitely want to add to my collection at some point. And then we have Thor #1. This is the classic Dodderman cover. I got mine up there. Obviously this is the big book. It's one of those books that people consider to be like the first Jane Foster technically, or Jane Foster's Thor. Technically this is the 3rd cameo, but also people argue about that too. Some people don't count the Deadpool versus Hawkeye And some people don't count the Thor, or some people count Thor 25 as her first appearance and don't count this as anything. And then, I don't know, it's all over the place. But this, regardless, is the big book. And I think part of that has to do with just how great of a cover this is. I think if you were to slap this cover on any other book, that would be the big book. If this was on the number 2, that would be it, you know. Now, granted, you know, a lot of people do like to have that number 1 on there, but this is just such a instantly iconic cover. I think the whole thing is drawn beautifully, but then to add this lightning, just like aura, you know, it seems so powerful, and it definitely presents you know, Jane Foster as the new Thor, as this new powerful character. And I think when most people think of Jane Foster Thor, this is the image that is first going to come into mind. And then moving into our last one, before we do, quick thing, I do want to tell you, Sunday, I'm editing a video, it's taking me quite a bit, but we are doing a new episode of Know Your Comics, and I filmed it today on the same day, so if you see me wearing the same shirt, that's why. But I'm very excited. The last episode, and was also the first episode, seemed to do really well. I tweaked things up a little bit, hopefully to change it and make it a little bit more engaging throughout. But I'm very excited. I got a new guest. I'm not going to spoil that yet, but I got a new guest that I'm excited. And a really cool guy, has another channel, and I put him through the ringer and see. Which, by the way, if you didn't watch the last episode, it's a game show for comics. So how well do you know your comic prices on the spot under a timer? So it did really well last time. It took a lot of work, so on the last one and on this one. So I'm happy people seem to be enjoying it. But let's go ahead and get into our last comic, which is also Thor issue number 1. This is the 1 in 50 variant, though, the Assad Ribic. And this was the most pricey, but by the way, I don't think I mentioned the last one was a $100 book. But this is a $200 book. And this is the book that I would really, really want to get. And again, there's even more awesome covers that I didn't mention on this list that you can go after. She has some really, really cool stuff. That being said, for me, sometimes there's certain artists that really you think of immediately when you think of a character. Like, for example, I always think of Sienkiewicz when I think of Moon Knight. He's just so meshed with that character and really understands that character. I'm not even a big Sienkiewicz fan. I think when he does other stuff, it's fine. But when he does Moon Knight, it's perfection. And with Assad Ribic, I'm not a huge Assad Ribic fan. But when he does Thor, whether it's Jane Foster or regular Thor, he is the artist I think of when I think of Thor. I absolutely love the way that he draws them, the color palette that he uses. I love this cover so much. And there's not a lot of even super crazy dynamic things happening. But I think part of it is the way that he has this, painterly kind of washy, nothing super crisp. It gives it this almost old, like Tales of Legend, like you're just looking at a mural on a wall, and these are the stories of Thor. And I don't know if that's it, if it's just a psychological thing that the way that he draws Thor makes me think in that way or not, and which is very appropriate for Thor. But I cannot think of Thor in any regard, like I said, without thinking of Assad Ribic. I absolutely love, which obviously he worked on that God of Thunder run, and then it's just, for me personally, I don't know if everyone agrees with that, but for me, Assad Ribic is the Thor artist. But that is my pick, or my 5 picks rather, for awesome Jane Foster covers. Obviously, I decided to do Jane Foster with her movie coming up here pretty soon. I'm very excited for the movie. We're getting Gore, we're getting Jane Foster Thor, maybe other things, maybe Beta Ray Bill, who knows? I don't, I can't wait to see. I think Gore is gonna be sick. After, I was a little iffy when we got that action figure, and it's like, it doesn't look that great, but when we got the trailer and actually got to see him, He looks terrifying. I think, a lot of it is really just the performance. And I think Gore's going to be an awesome villain. And I'm really excited. We've got to see very little out of Jane Foster. So I'm very excited to see which way they go with this. Whether they're setting her up for future movies, or if this is going to be a one and done type thing. Because obviously she's not Thor forever in the comics. So I could see maybe she's just Thor for now in this one movie. And maybe later, like in the comics, she also becomes Valkyrie. And so who knows what lies in store. But that being said, I think the costume looks great. They did an amazing job. And I love like when she flings the cracked hammers pieces and stuff. So I'm super excited to see what this movie has. If you love any of these covers, have any of these covers, want any of these covers, or just want to talk about the movie, and whether you're excited or not, leave a comment down below. I'd love to talk to you about it. That's going to be it though for today. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Ha 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 ha!